Hey there, it's Rachel from All About the House. In this video, I'm just going to do a comparison and share how I use different types of paper because I get a lot of questions about people going, should I print on glossy sticker paper? Should I print on matte? Should I use cardstock? When should I use paper? Is photo paper worth it? So hopefully this video addresses some of those questions that I'm frequently asked. So I'll start with cardstock. So I typically print onto cardstock for things like binder covers, notebook covers. It's just a bit more sturdy than a normal piece of paper. The thing to note though about printing onto cardstock is that the colors can sometimes not print true to their original color. So this is actually a really dark navy blue on screen, and when I printed it out onto cardstock it turned into more of like a medium shade of blue. So it can like dilute the colors, not print them as nice and vibrant, but it is sturdier than paper. So if I print onto paper, for example this one here, which is a monogram that I use in a binder, monogram binder cover, we can see the paper is way more flexible than the cardstock, and also if you turn it over the colors show through. So if you were using a notebook and you were like creating a gift for someone and you print it onto normal paper, it may look a bit like cheap with the quality because you can see what's on the back, whereas with cardstock it doesn't show through the back of it. You see a little bit of it, but to be honest it's only because it's in the light. It's just white blank on the back. So if you don't have the luxury of finding cardstock or you don't want to print onto it, then you can still use paper, but it's a bit more flimsy, it's not as durable. And for things like a notebook, which is going to be used quite often, I typically recommend going with cardstock. It's worth the little bit of extra cost to use cardstock. One way that you can make it more durable is what I did with my blog planner. So I had used the printables from my blog planner kit, and I printed them out and then I bound them and I added a clear cover to it. So this here is like a clear protective cover that you can use to stop it getting damaged. So I printed just the normal cover onto paper, and then to make it more durable I added this clear cover on the top of it. Now one thing to note, these clear covers are actually quite expensive. I purchased this from Officeworks and it's actually more cheaper to just print straight onto cardstock than paper and adding this cover, but the cover does add a lot of durability. It prevents it from getting dirty because the dirt collects on this and you can just wipe it off, whereas if you get marks and stuff on the paper then you can't really just wash that off which you can with the clear cover on it. So I typically recommend doing cardstock for binder covers. The other option that you can do is photo paper. I picked up this photo paper on clearance, otherwise it can be really expensive. Basically it's sort of similar to glossy label paper, so you don't get many sheets in this. This one only has 20 sheets and I think I got it on sale for like $5. You can get up to $15 even. So the price per sheet gets really expensive. If you want photo paper, you can get matte or glossy. I recommend going with glossy because it'll make the colors pop. So I really only use this for like a luxury. I treat this quite like precious. I only print really like important things on this, say like a planner cover, which I'm going to be looking at for a long time, so I obviously want it to be really durable. If I'm just doing for example my tax planner binder cover, then I don't bother printing on this because I'm really not going to look at that every day. It's only sort of a semi-frequent use. So use this one, splurge on photo paper if you want a really professional finish, if you're making a gift for someone, you're making them a notebook, or if it's going to be something that you look at often. The other alternative that you can do is glossy label paper. So I like to print stickers that I'm not typically going to write onto glossy label paper. It looks like cardstock on the back, and I like to write the instructions that I put to print to make sure the things print correctly, because sometimes depending on what you put in your printer it'll add weird margins. If you're printing from letter size onto A4 like I did with this one, it'll add extra space down the bottom. So if you do print on any of these things like cardstock, glossy paper, photo paper, which costs more than just normal paper, make sure you do a test print first before you go printing in full color and printing like a dozen copies. If you're printing out your like planner pages, always do a test print in black and white first. One thing that I do use glossy photo paper, glossy label paper for, not only stickers, but I also sometimes print my binder covers onto that as well if I'm out of cardstock or to make the colors pop. So if I printed this one onto cardstock, the blue would have been the navy blue, not this medium blue. So if the color is really important, that it prints true to its actual color, go with glossy label paper. It's actually quite affordable. People think it's label paper is really expensive, only if you buy Avery. I never ever recommend purchasing Avery label paper. It is a ripoff. Just go with like generic label paper. So you can get it from like online labels. I get mine off eBay. You can purchase so many different types of label paper. I'll include links below this video to where I have a whole list of places you can buy label paper from. Avery does not make the list. It is really expensive, and to be honest, the cheaper alternatives print just as good. I don't think Avery is worth it. So that's the glossy label paper. The other thing that you can print on is matte label paper. So if it's going to be stickers that I write on, so like these ones for example, I will typically print onto matte label paper because then I can write on them. I can put the little tick in the checkbox down the bottom. So if you want to be able to write on your planner stickers, go with matte. You can still use them for just normal stickers, so like these list making or urgent reminders, etc. You can still print them on that and the color still looks good. They just won't pop as much as the glossy. So we can see the comparison there. You get a lot more vibrant colors on glossy than you do with matte label paper. I did print my planner stickers binder cover onto matte label paper just to show the difference. It does still print nice, the colors show up, they just don't pop as much compared to the glossy, especially like the purple for example. So depends on the look that you're going for. Glossy label paper usually is not that much more expensive than matte, so I tend to be willing to splurge if it's something I'm going to be looking at for a long period of time. On the other hand, the matte with this looks quite good. I just got this one from eBay, the matte label paper, and I made this planner stickers cover for my binder. I'll include a link below this video if you wanted to download it. It's a freebie on my blog if you want to use it to organize your stickers. So basically, to wrap up this video, whoops, I forgot one, sorry. So scrapbooking paper. Scrapbooking paper I typically use if I want to do some DIY dividers. So I got this one from Kmart. It's got lots of cute colors in the paper pad. I got it mainly for the chevron. I'm a sucker for chevrons, and the polka dots were really cute too. So I'm going to do DIY dividers with these. I tend to print out digital paper as well onto basically any type of that. Will work with anything, whether it be glossy label paper or matte. Basically the same reasons. If I'm going to use it for a binder cover or a binder divider, I'll go cardstock because it's a bit more sturdier. If I know it's going to go into a notebook that I'm going to add the clear cover to, then I'll just go with paper. And it also depends what I have on hand. If I don't have any cardstock left, I'll probably print on glossy label paper. If I don't have any of that left, then I'll go with paper, so like just normal copy paper. So it really depends what you have on hand. It's not like, oh my god, you must print onto this. You can print onto anything that you want. I'm just sharing my preferences. So with scrapbooking paper, it's usually thinner than normal copy paper, really flimsy, so you do need to typically beef it up a bit with some cardstock on the back if you wanted to use these for dividers or something a bit more sturdier. And again, if I'm going to do gift tags, I'll typically like get a circle punch, and punch out the pretty paper and then have to glue it onto cardstock to make it more durable. And because if you punch this out, for example, we can see that it's got the whole pattern seam through on the other side, so you can't really write on that. You'd have to put cardstock there and then write on it. As for pens to write on, most pens will work on any type of paper. Some people find that the pens they use, if you're using a fine tip pen, it won't write as nicely on the glossy, but pretty much any pen that you use will work on matte label paper. So if you're in doubt about what to use, whether the pens are going to work, just go with matte. And every pen, I've never had a pen have an issue writing on matte label paper. I have had a couple of the fine tip ones not work so much on glossy, but if you purchase just generic ones like Papermate Inkjoy, not the gel, just the normal ones, they'll work fine on the glossy label paper. And pretty much any pen you can get from the cheap shop will work on glossy label paper. It's only the fine tip and like Sharpie marker type ones that won't work on the glossy. So that's pretty much all of the different types of paper that I use. So there's the scrapbooking paper, the normal copy paper, cardstock, matte label paper, glossy label paper, and then photo paper, and that's basically the order that I use them in as well. So, and the cost difference as well. So obviously photo paper is the most expensive. As for where to purchase photo paper from, you can get it from places like Officeworks, your local office supply store. You can also get it from eBay. eBay, you can find pretty much any of these. If you wanted to print something that's going to be like a keepsake, or it's a cover on a notebook, or it's a gift, then I do recommend that you splurge on the glossy label paper, or use photo paper or cardstock. Cardstock, remember, the colors don't pop as much as your glossy label paper. So I hope you found this helpful. If you have any other questions about different paper types, paper weights, anything like that, just let me know in the comments below, or send me an email at allaboutthehouseetsy@gmail.com. I hope you found this video helpful.